So I'm gonna okay, so I need to make something clear. Like, I do this for, again, it's risk taking, because I am opening myself to you guys, and I know there's a bunch of people who don't like me who watch it, but I'm not doing it for them, and okay. So I don't have a holder, but I see my face is not there, so it's got to not turn so hard. Okay, now I'll put it down there where the key holder is, and I know it's like this, and it's not very clear vision, but when I'm watching videos, it's usually because of what they're talking about, unless it's like a sport that I like watching. Talking about sport, yeah, go the All Blacks. I would have been shitting my pants if I was in the crowd, man. Not because it was played in England, but it was England versus the All Blacks, and it was like 5 minutes left, and the All Blacks were down by 8 points, and it's 7 points for a converted try. But the All Blacks came back and won. And then they held out England because it went to over. You know how it goes to overtime, and if there's overtime, and if whatever the situation is, it's what the next stoppage. You get to overtime, and the next stoppage is game over, unless it's a penalty or unless they're drawn scores. So like the All Blacks were leading by 2 points, and a drop goal is worth 3 points. The same as a penalty, but difference is penalty is the other team, I don't think they can contest, but they have to go by the goal line and stuff. Drop goals, you just do it on the spot, and then they can just go hard for you. And it was 24-22, and the time had gone into red because it was overtime, and then England took the drop kick to kick the 3 points to win by 1, but it hit the upright and it came back into the All Blacks' hands, and then England stole the ball off the All Blacks, but then they knocked it on, and because they knocked it on, it was game over, and the All Blacks won by 2 points. And whatever I'm feeling when I'm watching it on TV, that's why I go to the games, is multiplied by like 10 when you're in the stadium. Unless the stadium is like really empty, but if it's a packed out stadium, you can multiply whatever you're feeling when you're watching the TV on TV by about at least 10, possibly a bit more, because if it's a packed out stadium in Wellington, you got 35,000 people. It's for that 2 hours. Social status, economic status, religious beliefs, sexuality preferences, gender, these things don't matter for that split 2 hours. For that 2 hours, it don't matter, because it's our team and it's their team, And you feel connected because you live in the country, and I'm a bit behind when it comes to millennial travelling, because the average person nowadays, I remember it being like 4 or 5 countries when I was a kid, but now the average person has, that's from New Zealand, I don't know, I just put average persons in Google, and Google used to be like google.com, but now it's google.co.nz. It's been that way for many years now. Google.com, I used to put it in and it would just not show up, but now I put in google.co.nz and now Google shows up, so something's there. Well, the thing is okay, so I just don't want this turn left, turn right coming up on the video for you guys. That's why I'm doing it. Anyway, when you get used to greatness, people take it for granted. You see, I don't listen much to the talkback radio, because when I was growing up, it was, oh yeah, it's 7 points for a converted try, and yes, the All Blacks won by 22 points. But you know what? That wasn't a very great performance, because they should have won by 40, because they dropped the ball here and dropped the ball there, and it's like, dude, you score a try and you kick it over, that's the maximum you can get, right? 7 points. And this is an international game, and they played against Australia or South Africa, one of the nations that are in the top 5 in the world when it comes to rugby, and they beat them by 22 points, and you're crying about it on TV, crying about it on the radio, because they should have won by 40. But the team they played against is in the top 5 in the world when it comes to rugby, and they beat them by 22 points, and you're saying that it wasn't a good performance, and I just got sick of hearing that stuff, I mean, yeah, but for me, like, I used to get angry and frustrated when people dropped the ball and all this type of thing, but as soon as the final whistle went and we had more points than the opposition, like, my mates would be like, man, like, why are you so hard on us? But then I'll be like, it doesn't matter anymore, because the final whistle is gone. You need to get more points to get more reassurance you're going to win. But once the final whistle's gone and we have more points than them, it doesn't matter anymore. And you are a success. Because even though we missed out on all these points, we still got more points than them, so we won. So once the game is happening, it matters, because you need more points to give more reassurance that you're going to win. But once the final whistle goes and you have more points than the opposite team, now it officially doesn't matter anymore. Because we only wanted more points to win, but we won anyways. So it doesn't matter. And if you lose by 3 points, like with Bay of Plenty, they got no one. I mean, see, if Bay of Plenty was in the final against anyone other than Wellington or Hawke's Bay, I would have been going for them, because I used to think that the NPC had been going on for like over 100 years. But this goes to prove that the life that we know is what we become accustomed to. Because I was born in 1988, and the commentator, and I remember the books and stuff I used to read when I was a rugby player. NPC at the Heart of New Zealand Rugby was one of the books I owned, and it was like 200 or 300 pages of like NPC history and all the different divisions, and this was in the 2000s. So maybe they put it there, maybe I forgot. But when you're a teenager and you're reading about all these different regions, and so the first ever Rugby World Cup was 1987. So up until then, see, a lot the older generations, like, well, I think the boomers have caught up, but boomers and other generations, from what I see, they still go by whoever's won the test series is the best. And I understand that, because there's the Rugby Championship, which is the New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Argentina, and then there's the Six Nations, which is the Six Nations in Europe, and there's these other ones, but these other ones, they don't get paid any money. So when you're in these 10 countries, not that I know of anyway, but they don't get paid living wage. Wow, yeah. But in those 10 countries, it's a full-time profession. And so, New Zealand's won at 3, South Africa's won at 4. And congratulations to South Africa. You see, people are not saying much about this season for the All Blacks, but the All Blacks have had 11 games and won 8. But they lost one test series, and the one test series they lost was to South Africa, and that's the first series they've lost to South Africa since 2008. And this is not what I was going to be talking about, but oh well, next one.